status that says, Dad, Mom's got a headache, I think we need to get her some Tylenol. Where does a kid get that? It's friggin' just watch TV. You see that every 49% of the ads now are taken out by pharmaceutical companies. These guys have so much money, it's unbelievable. And guess what? Their products don't even work. In fact, they're largely bad. If you really want to get the real truth of it all, read Kilo. Get the Kilo study from JAMA a couple years ago. Kilo, in a nutshell, in stupid metaphorical things, if this is healthcare if this is health without healthcare, if you add in healthcare, all of a sudden the health of the society goes up. That would be this blue pointer. But there's a secret. All you have to do is read the Lucent Leaf study from Harvard, the Lazarus study, JAMA, who's out of Toronto, the Barbara Starfield study from JAMA. They all say the same thing. What people don't get is that when you base healthcare on pharmaceuticals, you are doomed. Even the Lazarus studies, Lazarus ought to wake up every American. If you take the right drug and the right dose for the right problem, you will kill 106,000 Americans per year, making that the fourth leading cause of death in our nation per year. In addition to that, you will badly damage an additional 2,216,000 Americans if you climb up all the error and non-error problems with a pharmaceutical delivered healthcare delivery system. You're looking at around 300,000 deaths per year in our country. Let's face it, how many people are chiropractors killing a year? What's the actual number? In a round number, rounded to the nearest whole number is 0. But don't go to a chiropractor, he can be like dangerous. What? You dudes are knocking off 300,000 Americans per year. Kilo says if you take all the good that our healthcare lives in, you subtract out all those bad guys, he says the incredible thing, it's a wash. He says all you need to do to save America is stop healthcare. Just stop it. No one gets helped. No one gets hurt, and you're the exact same spot you were to begin with, and you just saved $2.6 trillion. Seriously. Well, incredibly, guess what here's the deal though. Guess what our profession doesn't have that part of it. We don't. We don't have it. Do you guys see that study? They looked at, in spine and choosers, they looked at 50,000 consecutive chiropractic adjustments. Guess how many downward arrows they could find? None, not even one. 50,000 adjustments, not even one downward arrow. Everybody did this. Or at the worst, they did this. At the best, they did this. You start thinking, holy moly. You start looking at the numbers. So as I'm getting there in the 8 minutes, so they don't cut into Ron's time, just kind of like it says, without changes to Medicare, any budget proposals are meaningless. Medicare will eventually overwhelm everything else in the budget except for the interest on the mushrooming debt to pay for it. Yeah. Says, if they haven't told you something about Medicare, they haven't told you anything. They're just lying to you. The gorilla in the room is, don't touch my Medicare. Don't touch my Medicare. You see this on TV? Yeah. How about take friggin' better care of yourself? See your chiropractor. Stop eating that crap. Start to exercise and let your chiropractor be the go-to person. I'm telling you, just go back decades to the Manga study. Manga says the way you save the system is you make chiropractic the gatekeeper. And then if chiropractic can help them, then they probably just need some allopathic interventions, because those people can save lives. But right now they're dealing with a bunch of stuff just because they're every study where they compare what we do to what they do, we kick their butts. And we don't even get any acknowledgement for that. Even if you go all the way back to the 90s and you look at the Mead study coming out of the BMJ, that's where they compared the 341 people that got chiropractic and hospital management. Again, we just smoked them in clinical outcome, and yet you hardly hear anything about this. We got to get a lot better at getting the message out. We've got to know our nerve grooves. I am good to go. When Mike Wallace knocks on my door, I'm going to go right at him. In contrast to when he knocked on the door of Joe Jancy back in the 60s. Did you guys ever see that? I've never forgiven Mike Wallace. He's still alive since the 90s. But he attacked Joe. He couldn't protect our profession. I can. So I'm waiting for 60 minutes to knock on my door. And check out blue all over my shoes. The USA Today. the U.S. owes $62 trillion. 38 trillion of that is Medicare. Do you get that? As you go through these articles, this is right after they raised the debt ceiling the first time last summer, says largely, the obligations are largely from Medicare and Social Security. Now get on this, just one year, 2011, Medicare alone took on an additional 1.8 trillion in new liabilities. Do you get this? Guess where all that money's going? Drug companies and their middlemen, right? I'm not saying there aren't people that need some drugs, but I'm telling you, if you read Melody Peterson's book, Our Daily Meds, it is way different than the reality of the public at large understands. It says, you kind of get all that stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, in my timing, I would look at this. Hey, how about this one? It says, what puts the system at stress? It says, as a physician, I am constantly asked by patients, friends, and family members, why does healthcare cost so much? The answer apparently not well known. Long-term healthcare inflation is driven in large part by new drugs and technologies. In a time when healthcare costs are a primary cause of record budget deficits, which will continue for the foreseeable future, even politicians don't seem to get it. If we see this bottom line that says, health spending is sucking the life out of the rest of the budget. Here's a simple solution. Just say no to the ridiculous price of new drugs and technologies. Why? They don't work anyway, really. It's all craziness that's out there. So what's the bottom line? I have so many things I could do with you. Jim only gives me 45 minutes. I mean, what am I supposed to do? What am I going to do in 45 minutes? I'm going to tell you this. And the way that I think, this is the deal. The innate solution for health. 1, gravity. You have to optimize your relationship with gravity. Read Energy Medicine by James Oschman, 2000, chapter 11, the chapter on gravity, best ever written. Read everything by Cora, the Princeton-educated physiologist. The way that we live, exist, and function in gravity is directly related to our health and well-being. You have to understand, and I have the references up here, but I don't want to cut into Ron's time. I just want to make sure you know. Listen to me. We pride ourselves in treating the nervous system. Listen to me. If you do not balance your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, your nervous system doesn't work right. Read Stamopoulos from last year, the journal Molecular Neurobiology, January 29th of 2011. If you're not between 1.5 to 4 to 1 on the 6-3 ratio, you are compromised. This is innate. Where is you? Where are you? I mean, we talk about innate. I heard Phil talk about it. This is the innate balance. To go beyond that, you are dooming your own health and physiology. You have to get your vitamin D between 50 and 70 nanograms per milliliter. The #1 proven vitamin deficiency in the world today is vitamin D. You have to understand that the biggest impairment to neurological synapses is metal toxins, specifically mercury, copper, arsenic, lead, and cadmium. The copper that is driving Alzheimer's. If you saw my presentation at Parker, the copper is coming from municipal water that has not been reverse osmosis and multiple vitamin mineral supplements that have copper in them you're not supposed to do either. Read George Brewer. Hang out with me more. When I have more time with you, I have all these studies in the notes. You have to avoid other toxins. If you read Carl Craner, pesticides work because pesticides destroy the nervous system of the pest they put it on. When a kid in the first year of life or in utero is exposed to a pesticide, it screws up the development of the synaptic array of the brain. This is why we have to go organic. Pesticides are a problem. The #1 product in the environment with pesticides on it is apples. Kids looking at the studies? Hang with me more. No phthalates, bisphenol A, no fluorine, no polychlorophenols or polybrominated diphenyl ethers, which are flame retardants. You have to avoid GMO. GMO is being directly blamed on the escalation of global allergies. You have to understand about GMO. You have to read Seeds of Deception by Jeffrey Smith. You have to read The Unhealthy Truth by Robin O'Brien. You should not eat grains, any grains. All of that junk out there that's grains, including the worst of the worst grains for human physiology, is soy. Read this book by Daniels.
You are not supposed to eat this stuff. It is against innate intelligence. If you really want to get into innate, you have to understand that we are doing things that is bad for our physiology. You cannot eat grains. You're just not supposed to do it. You're not supposed to be refined carbs. You have to read Gary Taubes, The Physiology of Our Time, Good Calories, Bad Calories. You have to take a multiple vitamin mineral supplement because of nutritional inflation. They say that an apple in 1940, to get the nutrients in an apple in 1940, today you have to eat 3 apples. The soils are so poor in quality that even if you eat good, you are still deficient. You have to take a multiple vitamin supplement. This got the Nobel Prize in 2009 by Elizabeth Blackburn from the University of California, San Francisco. If you read Blackburn, you realize that the telomeres are directly linked to taking a multiple vitamin or supplement. Just make sure it doesn't have copper in it. That you have to detox, you have to crank up your glutathione and do an infrared sauna. You have to repair the mitochondrial damage, you have to exercise, you have to do weights and interval trainings. You are not supposed to be running marathons, really. You're not supposed to be running laps. And you have to eat only 3 things: meats, vegetables, and fruits. The meat should be 33%, the plant material should be 66%, the vegetables should be 75%, and the fruit should be 25%. Thanks for having me on.